Okay, so triangle midsegment theorem is our next lesson. A midsegment is the piece in the middle here. So midsegment sounds similar to a word that we know already, right? What does mid? What other word do we know that uses mid?
Midpoint.
Midpoint, yes. So these actually connect to midpoint. So D is a midpoint and E is a midpoint. So that is connecting the midpoints of two sides of a triangle. So we can have up to 3 midsegments because we have 3 sides. So it almost makes like a little, or does make like a littler triangle in the middle once all the midsegments are connected. So my midsegment in this example is from D to E, so I would write it as DE with a line segment over it. Okay, knowing that D is the midpoint, we see that they added in my congruent dashes here, so we are splitting each side into 2 congruent parts. So that is the definition of a midsegment. The triangle midsegment theorem is the rules that go along with it. So if a segment joins the midpoint, so if I have a midsegment, then this segment is parallel. What does parallel mean? Yeah, they never intersect, right? So it is parallel to the third side and half as long. Okay, so it's saying the midsegment is never going to touch one side here. So let's look back at our picture. It's referring to it as the third side. It's really just the side that it is not intersecting. So DE would be parallel to what side here? AC, very good. So I'm going to mark it with parallel marks. Anyone remember what that looks like? The little arrow, good. So DE is parallel to AC, and I'm going to write that in blank 1. So it is parallel, and then also half the length. So I could say that DE equals half of AC. So we can see it's shorter, obviously, so it's exactly half the length of that parallel side. I'm going to come off to the side and rewrite this in a different way. If I were looking at that as an equation, D equals 1/2 of AC. I want to make it a little bit easier, a little bit nicer to work with. So I want to get rid of that fraction. How would I get rid of that 1/2? Just if I were solving this. How would I get rid of that 1/2? What would I need to do to both sides? See, Hannah? Yeah, multiply each side by what? 2. So we're going to multiply each side by 2. So this is the way that I prefer to write it. I'm going to say that 2 times DE is equal to AC, and I'm going to write that actually over here. So 2 times our midsegment is equal to that side. And that's what I prefer to do. I just don't like working with fractions as much. So 2 midsegments equal 1 side. So let's go ahead and identify our parallel segments. So no math yet. You're just identifying what segments are parallel. Okay, so I'm going to start with XY. That is my midsegment. So I would say that, let me pick a different color. XY is parallel to, what is the only side that it is not touching on the big triangle? Q to S. Very good. XY to QS. Okay, I'm going to let you and your partner figure out the other 2 sets there. Again, we have 3 sets of midsegments inside. So I'm going to pause here and let you guys finish that one. Okay, so double check that you found the correct pairs there. We're actually going to skip number 2 since it's the same thing, and I feel like that's a pretty simple skill, just finding my parallel sides. So let's move down to number 3 and start our first one with the map. So it says L, M, and N are the midpoints. So let's talk about that first. If L is a midpoint, what can I mark on either side of that? If L is a midpoint, what is that telling me? Oh. If L is a midpoint, I know that each side is going to be congruent, right? If it's that midpoint. So we're going to mark those as congruent. If M is a midpoint, what can we mark as well? Q. Good. Q and M and R. How many dashes do I need now? 2. Good. Those are different lengths. And then if N is a midpoint, I'm going to add how many dashes? 3. Good. Okay, so we know that those have been split in half. Let's go ahead and look at our given information. It says that PR is 46. I'm going to go ahead and just add that in. PR is 46. It tells me PQ is 40. And LN is 17. So I'm just adding in the information that they gave me. Okay, so a few things to remember here. I know that this has been split in half because I have a midpoint. So what would I do to find each of these lengths? Divided by 2. So what is half of 46? 23. So I know that these are both 23. That's just definition of a midpoint. I also know that the mid-segment is going to be half the length of that as well. So where else would we write 23 here? If PR is 46, where else would be 23 here? Tyler, what you think? Yes. So PR is my side. I know that the mid-segment that's parallel to this side, PR, is going to be half the length. So where's the mid-segment that's parallel to PR? And what? Yes, M to where? Anybody else?
L.
L. Right, so my mid-segment here is parallel to PR. So I know that that is also going to be half of 46, so that is also 23. Does that make sense? So we have 3 different places that are all going to be the same length. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the 40. So 40 is going to be split in half. So what is half of 40? 20. And where else is going to be 20 here?
QR.
M to N. Good. So it's a little bit tricky to see at first, but you'll get the hang of it. Okay, so that's everything except for this other side. I know that if my mid-segment is 17, what would I do to find that full length?
Double.
We're going to double it, right? So this is half of that side, so we're going to do 17 times 2, which is what? 34. So that's my whole side over here. And then what would I do to find each side there? Divide it back by 2, so it's still 17 there. So that's the only math here is really multiplying or dividing by 2. So then I'm going to pause here and let you guys fill in the blanks. So like LM, go ahead and find that and decide what that is. Okay, it told me that FG was 9. I know that this is a what? Mid-segment or side? FG, small piece, is our mid-segment, right? So my parallel side is DE. I know that this is half the length of that side. So what would DE be? 18. Good. Okay, I knew that C to D was 24. So my mid-segment would be where? F to H. Very good. So half of that is 12. So that's how we got FH to 12. That mid-segment is half the length of the parallel side. And then GH was 7, so where am I doubling it? C to E. Very good. So that whole piece is 14 from C to E. Okay, to find the perimeter, I needed the 3 big sides, so I should have been adding 24 plus 14 plus 18, and I got 56.
56.
Question there. Okay, moving on to our next one. Okay, looking at number 5, this is where we're going to use the setup that we did earlier. So I know that I'm doubling my mid-segment. So if you can write this down with me, 2 times my mid-segment equals my side. So really we just have to identify.
Before you go on.
Yes.
Oh, wait, no, never mind.
Never mind? Okay. Alright, so 2 times my mid-segment is equal to my side. So we just have to identify which one's the mid-segment here. So what equation is my mid-segment here? 7x. So I'm doubling that. So 2 times 7x is equal to my side, which is what? 17x minus 18. And let's go ahead and solve for x. Okay, so we're just going to multiply. What is 2 times 7x? 14x equals 17x minus 18. I would normally subtract that 14, but that's going to leave me with 0 over there, right? So I'm not going to do that for this time. I'm going to subtract the 17. So I'm not left with 0. So I'm going to bring down my negative 18. And then 14 minus 17 leaves me with negative 3x. I'm going to divide each side by negative 3. And I get x equals positive 6. We were just asked to solve for x there, so I'm done with that one. So all you have to do is find which one is your mid-segment, multiply it by 2, and then set it equal to that side. So let's set up number 6. Actually, I'll pause here and let you guys set that one up. I just want to see that you can do that without me. Okay, so again, the only geometry, or maybe not again, but the only geometry here is the setup. So just identify which one's your mid-segment, double it, set it equal to the side. The rest is just our algebra skills. We're going to skip number 7 and number 8. The only difference, you see what it's asking for here?
Find DE.
Find DE. So I would do the same thing, but what would be my next step? I would plug it into DE. So I would plug in my x value into there. So you'll have some on your prep work like that, so just pay attention to what it's asking you for. But I feel like we can move on from those examples. Okay, number 9, let's move on to a little bit trickier one. Oops. Alright, it says MN, NO, and MO are all mid-segment. So I know these guys are all half the length of their third side, or of that parallel side. It says to find the perimeter of JKL. Is that my big triangle or my little big triangle?
Big.
That's the big triangle. So I really need this side, and this side. Okay, 2 of them are going to be pretty simple, right? Hopefully. If I have 42 here, that's a mid-segment, right? So that's half the length of what side? Amanda, which side? J to K. Good. So we're going to double 42, and we're going to get 84. So that side was easy to find. I'll give you a second to find JL. How would we find JL?
How could
You add 49.
Good. We see that the mid-segment is 49, so we're going to double that and get 98. So we are adding 84 plus 98, but we're missing our third side, right? We have an equation there, so we are going to have to solve for x first. So let's figure out what my mid-segment is, and let's double it. So where is parallel to KL? MO. Good. So there's my mid-segment. I know I have to double it, so I'm going to do 2 times what? 6. Good. 6x minus 1, and I'm going to set it equal to 13x minus 10. I'll give you, or let's just do this one together. This one's easy. So let's distribute that 2. When I distribute, I get 12x minus 2. Okay, I like to keep my numbers positive if I have that option. So I'm going to subtract the smaller x. So I'm going to subtract 12x. What do I have left over? 1x. Do I have to write the 1? Nope. And I'm going to move that 10 over. So when I add 10, what is 10 minus 2? Good. So x equals 8. And then I'm looking for that length right there, but 13 times 8 just like sounds too difficult for me right now. So I'm going to do 6 times 8, because that sounds easier. What's 6 times 8?
48.
48 minus 1?
47.
47. If that is 47, how do I figure out that side that I need?
Times it by 2.
Just double it. So what is 2 times 47? Or 47 plus 47? 94. Did I go too fast to do that? So found x, plugged it back in, and then doubled it. So let's go ahead, take a second, and add up your three sides so that we can find our perimeter there. So adding 84, 98, 94.
What? 18, right?
276.
18.
Is that right?
Double check with a partner. And double check with my answer.
Yeah.
We good to go?
Yep.
Alright, moving on. 276 was your answer there. Oh, here's Mr. Bird's joke of the day. Why did the Clydesdale give the pony a glass of
Hold
water?
on, let me read that.
Why did the Clydesdale give the pony a glass of water?
What's
a
Clydesdale?
Like a big horse.
Wait, that's a Clydesdale, a big horse?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were thirsty.
So good.
Because it was
I was about to say that.
What does that mean? You know, like when your horse can't talk. Alright, number 10. Number 10. So this is adding in our angles, and we're almost done. I promise we're not going to do all these. So adding in our angles. I'm going to draw something, and I want you to tell me what you're looking at.
Oh,
Not parallel.
Where you put that A, B,
Yeah? A's and B's, and
C's and
no
D's.
C's, just A's and B's, right?
A's and B's.
So what is this? How would you describe what I'm looking at? Two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Very good. So this is where we did our little A's and our B's. So what type of angles can these create? Vertical. Be more specific. There's the 8 angle pairs, right? Alternate interior,
Alternate
alternate
exterior.
exterior, corresponding. There's 3 more, 4 more. I already said that one.
They already said
Different unit, but that's okay.
Oh, my bad.
Consecutive interior, yes. Consecutive exterior, all those good things. So mostly today we're going to be doing corresponding angles and consecutive interior angles. If you remember, corresponding are in the same location. So like here and here, if they're both A's, that means they are what? Congruent. So corresponding angles are congruent. Consecutive interior, remember same side in between. One of them's an A, one of them's a B. That means they equal 180. So that's what we're going to be using today. Alright, so looking at my first example, I'm a little bit more visual, so I know these are my parallel lines. So I'm going to kind of draw them out a little bit longer. So how many transversals do I have here? 2. I'm going to start with this one over here. So we want to just focus on one transversal at a time. Let's find the corresponding angles. So where do we see that corresponds to angle that has 59 degrees? Where's in that same location on that other intersection? Number 4. So angle 4 would be how many degrees? 59 degrees. And I'm even going to put 59 right there. Okay, we're left over with angle 3. That's actually, we can't do anything with angle 3 because it has a point at the end. It's not one of our 8 angles here. So the only other angle I can do something with is angle 5. Does anyone have an idea about how I could figure out angle 5? What's the only other option? Subtract it from 180. So we're going to do 180 minus 59 to find my leftover, which is 121. So that is my obtuse angle at angle 5. That's a linear pair right there, and those are also consecutive interior. So either way, angle 5 is 121 degrees. Okay, that's all that I know on that side, so let's move to my other transversal. Okay, 127 doesn't correspond to 1 or 2. I know that 1 and 2 are corresponding. So does anyone have an idea of how I could find those angles? Subtract them from 180. So let's do 180 minus 127. And I get 53 degrees for both angle 1 and angle 2. Okay, geometry again. Start layering and layering and layering. This is unit 4. We're seeing it again in unit 7. So you gotta keep up with this stuff. So that is angle 1 and 2. So we're left over with this angle 3. The only thing that we can do with that is use this shape, which is what shape?
Triangle.
A triangle. What do I know about the 3 angles inside of a triangle?
They all add up to 180.
They all add up to 180. So if this one is 59 and this one's 53, can we figure out that third angle? Yeah. So I'll give you a second to do that. Use your triangle sum theorem.
Okay.
Good. Add up these 2 angles and subtract them from 180. Angle 3 is what? Yeah. So angle 4 is 56. Angle 2 is 53. So add 59 is 53. Subtract 28. Good. You should be okay with that. I'm just walking around to make sure you got it. You want to do? Right, sit down.
You can run too.
Okay, so we're just using triangle sum. For those of you who are a little bit confused, we're adding these 2 angles together and subtracting them from 180, because I know that the third one would make it equal to 180. So 53 and 59, 12, 1, 12. And then I subtract that from 180, and we should end up with 68 degrees. So just using our last lesson in this lesson as well. Alright, I'm going to pause here and let you guys work on this next one with each other. Again, you have to start with the 118. It's like a puzzle. Once you find one, you can move to the next. Alright, number 12. Number 12. We're looking at the same thing. We're looking at angles. First of all, how do I know these are referring to angles?
Has degree mark.
It has a degree symbol, right? Make sure you're paying attention to the symbol. So I know these are angles, so your job is to determine, are they corresponding or are they consecutive interior? Which do we think these are? Look at number 12. Are they corresponding or are they consecutive interior? They are corresponding. We see that they are in the same spot. They're the same angle, which means they're congruent, which means I do what with them? We set them equal. I have full confidence that you can solve that, so we're not going to do that. We're going to move on to the next one. Okay, looking at my next one. These are no longer corresponding because one of them is an A and one of them is a B, which means they are, sorry, those were corresponding. These are consecutive interior, which means together they equal what?
180.
180. So please set up an equation there. You don't need to solve it. I just want to see that you can set up an equation to solve for x there. So they're not equal to each other. You would add them. Good. I just want to see that we can set that up. Yes. Oh, you're welcome to solve it if you really want to.
I don't know what to do.
Have that control
Oh. You guys agree?
Add them. Good, I just wanted to see that you could solve that. Good, so just pay attention to whether we add them together or whether they're equal to each other. So just to like wrap it up, you don't even have to write anything on the last two. Number 14, are those corresponding or consecutive interior? Corresponding. What about my last one? Consecutive interior. So make sure you're just paying attention to whether they're equal to each other or equal to 180. Right, Jacob? Okay, that is our notes for today.